Alright, welcome back everyone to another market recap. Today is Thursday, October 10th, 2024, and today was a great day to work on my mindset and my discipline and understanding that no matter how badly I want a trade to work out or think a trade should work out, it's all probabilities, and if it loses, it loses. This is a game where you have to master your emotions. You have to master your discipline. And honestly, it's made me realize today that I really do need to work on my emotions and discipline still. Because one of my goals has been to not end the live streams early if I lose, and to keep streaming throughout the whole session, and to be okay when I lose and not be upset. And honestly, I was pretty upset about this one because this seemed like genuinely a really good trade. Honestly, I would even consider A or A plus because we swept out these lows into a 1 minute BPR here, and then we got this amazing momentum candle to the upside towards this data high, which, if you don't know, data highs are incredibly strong draws. The market will tend to come back to them with very high conviction, and you can see right now it's actually on its way back over, possibly to go up to that data high. But typically when you get this giant momentum candle like this, completely invalidating this gap here, typically you don't stop. And the crazy thing is, Dodgy took a loss today as well. He said a lot of people went to break even here, but I did not, and played the edge, and I played the probability. Good luck the rest of the day. That will be my only trade. Now, I actually did the exact same thing. So typically I would move my stop loss to break even at this gap, because on the higher time frame, this is a 15-minute gap. This is a giant fair value gap. So if we're going to run through it, we need to run through it with momentum. And if we're not going to run through it, then that's fine. You just have to move your stop loss to break even right away. But with this data high up here, it gave me a lot of conviction. So I was willing to hold this trade through because of the data high, and yeah, it didn't work out. But it's one of those trades where, in general, would you have been upset if you had stopped out at break even and it went to your take profit? Yeah, I'd probably be upset if it went to my take profit and I got stopped out at break even here, because this is such a high momentum candle, and we got all the two SMTs delivering from a gap with a sweep. I honestly would have been upset if we went to the data high. So it's just one of those days where you have to take a look and just ask yourself, did I do everything I was supposed to do? Was I disciplined? And in general, I feel like the main thing to improve here was my discipline, because I should not have ended the stream early. I should not have gone off the stream. One of my rules is I stream every single day from 8:50 to 11 a.m. and I have to stick on the charts and get the chart time in, because what's going to actually make me better is getting the chart time in. There's no other way around that. If I log off the charts early when I lose, I am doing myself a complete disservice. If anything, I should be analyzing the charts and saying, why did I lose? What was the reasoning for this loss? So that way when I go to journal it, it can be a much better journal entry. So in general, you got to take losses as opportunities, and you got to get better somehow. And every single day, I'm going to keep getting better. But the fact that Dodgy took a very similar trade, just entered a little earlier, it makes me feel like not as bad about it, because I really have been working hard at this, and to keep losing it quite a bit lately is pretty demotivating. But in general, I've also taken some good wins lately too. It's just right now, with how hard I'm working, I want it so bad, but there's no way to force trades to work. It's only probabilities. There's no way to force them to work, and with time, I really do think I'll be successful. So that covers the trade. Now let's talk about the market. So in general, I was expecting this data high to get ran, and then also we have previous month's high that I think should get ran as well. And the reason that I think this is because simply we are delivering from a lot of confluences. I will show you what I mean. So we have this is the target. This is what wants to get ran right now, in my opinion. And then if I go down to the weekly, you can see that this is a giant weekly order block, and we are pushing out of it, right? So bias seems to be bullish. This is where order flow seems to be bullish, pushing out of this weekly order block and this weekly fair value gap. Then I go down to the 4 hour. You can see we respect this 4 hour fair value gap, so order flow is still bullish. So the market moves from, I'm going to make a video about this actually pretty soon, but the market moves from fair value gaps to highs and lows. And that's called, fair value gaps are called internal liquidity, and highs and lows are called external liquidity. So the market moves from fair value gaps to highs and lows. So when you have a fair value gap and then a lower time frame fair value gap within a fair value gap, and then a lower time frame fair value gap within that, it creates very, very high probability trades on the low time frame within here that we're gonna run up to this draw on liquidity. So this is the previous month's high. And so anyway, we can see we filled this 1 hour gap pretty much perfectly. And then yeah, this is where I took the trade. Now I basically was saying like, hey, I'm kind of thinking that we could just react off this CE of this. I didn't think we had to go fill it, but turns out we did go end up filling this fair value gap. And you know what? I took a loss. It's fine. But yeah, you can see we filled this fair value gap pretty much perfectly. At which point you could have taken this trade, and this one would have been a break even unless you held it because of conviction. Now this is also one I would consider holding because of conviction, simply because I think although this setup looks really nice, price action's really choppy, and on this chart it's a lot more smooth, and we're going into 10 a.m. So although I liked this setup a lot, I have to acknowledge that it's on the lower time frame, it's a lot choppier. This is on the higher time frame at a key time, sweeping a higher time frame low, filling this fair value gap. So as good as this setup is, somehow I do think this one is better. And so I probably wouldn't want to go to stop loss to break even on this one either, just because of the same exact reason. It's just such a high conviction play going to this data high here, and then you could leave runners for previous month's high as well, because once again essentially we're bullish on the higher time frame. Like if I go back down, go down to the lower time frame like I was showing you, we got the weekly fair value gap respected, the 4 hour fair value gap respected, the 4 hour gap is being respected. So bullish order flow is being respected, and highs seem like they're ready to get ran soon. So if I go back down into the lower time frame, oh, what else? This was SMT. Yeah, this was a SMT right here. So with this being an SMT as well, clearly the high time frame is bullish, because this is that weekly order block, weekly fair value gap, 4 hour fair value gap, 4 hour fair value gap, pushing up to this previous month's high. So I was very bullish, and so I would definitely, if I was to take a second trade of the day, I would do the same exact thing with this trade here, where this low got swept and we inverse this fair value gap, except here I would do the same thing. I wouldn't move my stop loss to break even, just because this is such a high conviction play. Now then again, maybe I would move stop loss to break even because earlier price action's not that good and it's really choppy, but it just depends on your conviction. I feel like this is, once again, this is data high, is a very high conviction play, so I would prefer to take this. And so anyway, Typically, though, just so you guys know, once one of these highs get ran, either this one or this one, whichever one you prefer, I guess, you'd move your stop loss to break even, and then you'd get stopped out here. So this would be a break even trade most of the time, unless you decide to hold it to go up to this data high. But no one else even really posted on Twitter. It goes to show Dodgy is one of the realists in the space. Who else is willing to post their losses? Maybe like a couple other people, but that's it. So, Dodgy is one of the best mentors out there, and no one else is willing to talk about losses and hard days like he is. So, with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this market recap, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.